Welcome back to Plot Twist Street, because this episode of Coronation Street doesn't just raise the stakes, it drags them into something far darker and more disturbing than viewers ever expected. Just when it seemed impossible for Theo Silverton to sink any lower, the story takes a horrifying turn. Not only does Theo continue to pull Todd Grimshaw deeper into a nightmare of abuse and control, but his actions ultimately set off a chain of events that cost an innocent neighbor his life, all unfolding with such speed and violence that no one had time to stop it. For months, Theo had been quietly reshaping love into a weapon. What began as seemingly harmless comments, framed as concern or advice, were in fact calculated criticisms of Todd's appearance and self-worth. Each remark chipped away at Todd's confidence, leaving him trapped in a fog of self-doubt. Was he overreacting? Was he imagining things? Theo made sure Todd questioned himself more than he questioned his partner. When manipulation alone was no longer enough to keep Todd compliant, Theo crossed an unmistakable line. Physical violence entered the relationship. Todd began appearing with visible injuries, bruises he tried desperately to hide. But the more he concealed them, the more obvious it became to those around him that something was deeply wrong. Debbie Webster and Ronnie Bailey's wedding should have been a moment of celebration, a rare pause from the turbulence of the cobbles. Instead, it became a turning point. Billy Mayhew had long sensed that Theo and Todd's relationship wasn't what it appeared to be. At the ceremony, his fears were all but confirmed when he noticed the marks Todd was trying to cover up. These were not the signs of a simple accident, they were the traces of sustained suffering. Billy's concern was unmistakable. The look he gave Todd wasn't just sympathetic, it was urgent, as though he understood that without immediate intervention, Todd might never find a way out. When Todd finally broke down and confided in Billy, viewers felt a rare sense of relief. Todd asked Billy to take him home, and for the first time in weeks, it felt like an escape route had opened. Billy didn't hesitate. He guided Todd onto the minibus to leave the reception, offering him safety, at least for the night. That fragile hope shattered the moment Theo appeared. Stepping onto the minibus at the last possible second, Theo's arrival changed everything. The atmosphere froze. Billy stiffened. Todd retreated instantly into silence, fear reclaiming him. Theo sat down with an unnerving calm, the calm of someone who knew he still held all the power. Billy made no effort to mask his unease. Theo saw it immediately. The vicar knew. The truth Theo believed he had buried under charm and threats was now dangerously close to being exposed. As the minibus made its way toward Corrie, disaster struck. Ahead, chaos erupted following a major road collision. The car carrying John Sugden and Aaron Dingle had crashed into the Swains' vehicle. Everything happened in seconds. The minibus was moments away from plowing straight into a wreck with people still trapped inside. In a split-second act of bravery, Carla Connor ran into the road, desperately trying to stop the bus from hitting the car holding Lisa and Betsy. Billy reacted on instinct, swerving sharply to avoid them. The maneuver saved lives, but at a terrible cost. The minibus tipped and overturned. Metal screamed against tarmac. Glass shattered. Panic erupted. Then came more impacts as additional vehicles slammed into the scene, turning the road into a war zone of smoke, wreckage, and fear. Passengers scrambled to escape. Some crawled through broken windows, others dragged the injured to safety. But Billy's situation was the most terrifying of all. He was trapped in the driver's seat, seatbelt locked tight, the door crushed beyond movement. Smoke seeped in almost immediately. At first, it was just the smell. Then the smoke thickened, burning eyes and lungs. Then flames erupted, spreading with terrifying speed. Todd regained consciousness amid the chaos. Seeing Theo nearby, his first question was for Billy. And then Theo did something that, for one fleeting moment, sparked hope. He turned and ran back into the burning minibus. For a heartbeat, it looked like redemption. Was this the moment Theo finally did the right thing? Was he going back to save the man who had uncovered his secret? Coronation Street wasted no time in crushing that illusion. Inside the driver's cabin, Billy was fighting desperately to free himself. Smoke filled his chest as he struggled with the seatbelt. Just as he managed to unfasten it, Theo appeared. He grabbed Billy, creating the illusion of a last-second rescue. In panic and desperation, Billy spoke as though he still believed there was goodness left in Theo. Then the truth revealed itself. Theo refastened the seatbelt, not by accident. Not in confusion, but deliberately, calmly, as if closing a door forever. He locked Billy back into the driver's seat, met his eyes, and walked away. Moments later, the minibus was engulfed in flames. A violent explosion tore through the wreckage. When the fire finally subsided, only one person emerged alive: Theo. The true horror lies in how easily his crime was concealed. Amid the chaos of a multi-vehicle collision, his actions blended into confusion and noise. No one immediately realized what he had done, but Billy didn't die because of the crash alone. He died because someone made sure he couldn't survive. Now, the questions come crashing in. What happens when Todd learns the truth about Billy's final moments? Can Todd ever escape Theo now that he knows just how far Theo is willing to go to maintain control? And is there a witness, a fragment of evidence, a fleeting detail from the scene that could finally expose him? Behind the scenes, ITV executives were clear that Billy Mayhew's death was meant to be seismic. Soap boss Ian McLeod has revealed that the decision was carefully planned as a defining moment, one that would permanently alter how viewers see Theo Silverton. Billy had become the moral center of this storyline. He didn't just suspect abuse, he recognized it. And when he tried to help Todd escape after Debbie and Ronnie's wedding, he unknowingly sealed his own fate. Theo joining the minibus wasn't coincidence. It was control tightening its grip. McLeod explained that the Corey-Emmerdale crossover crash was designed as both a climax and a pivot point. Billy's death wasn't merely an ending. It was the moment the audience truly understands how dark Theo's path has become. He also praised Daniel Brocklebank, who filmed his final scenes late last year, describing him as a powerful and generous presence on and off screen. Billy's loss was meant to hurt, because it had to. For Brocklebank, the transition was swift. After more than a decade on the cobbles, he barely had time to process his exit before stepping straight into rehearsals for Young Frankenstein at Liverpool Playhouse. The shift was intense, overwhelming, and exhilarating. One chapter closed, another began at full speed. Meanwhile, with Billy gone, the consequences are only beginning to ripple outward. The crash may be over, but the truth of what happened inside the burning minibus remains buried, for now. As the dust settles on the road to Corrie, one thing is certain: Billy Mayhew's death is not the end of this story. It's the beginning of something far darker. Secrets like this never stay hidden forever. And when the truth finally surfaces, the fallout for Theo Silverton could be explosive.